Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, the OCG has received a new ban list that I wanted to talk about. Mostly because it has more implications for something like Master Duel than something like the TCG ban list. But also because I do just kind of want to go over the metagame in the OCG, which has been something that I haven't covered in a while, and that I want to actually cover. So, with the new ban list, some things I expect to be hit are things like Rescue Ace and Pearly, and most notably Tyr. Tyr has been around for basically 2 years in the OCG, and so I would be very surprised if Tyr doesn't die from this ban list. Now, granted, I've already seen this ban list. I went over it on stream, but these are things to kind of expect when going through this. Centurion is a new deck, even though it is already at the top. It is new, so it's from the most recent set in the OCG, or second most recent. I forget which one they've actually had released up until this point. So that's not something that I expect to be hit. Rescue Ace I don't expect to be hit a ton, but it is the best deck, so some hits there are warranted. Pearly has been around for a while as well, so that's warranted. Labyrinth just got new support. Not really expecting to see that. Runic, they really don't like, so maybe hits there, stuff like that. Most of the rest of this is inconsequential. But as we can see, Sinful Spoils, which if you don't know, is an engine that utilizes, or that can special summon out a level 1 fire, which happens to line up really well with Rescue Ace, is one of the best engines currently in the game. It mills cards, it gets multiple bodies onto your side of the field, and it's just a great way of obtaining resources. So Sinful Spoils is very strong and is most likely coming to or is going to dominate in the TCG as well. However, in the OCG, it's very, very strong here. So this is kind of the metagame moving forward. Let's go to the ban list and talk about what actually did end up changing. So here are some new unlimits. We have Armageddon Knight, which was at 2 and now is at 3. This could come to 3 in every format and probably wouldn't do a whole lot. The only thing that it's really used in is stuff where you're looping one of it anyway, and it's not really that big of a deal having multiple copies of it. Sure, this may matter in Orcust, but honestly, there are better normal summons and better cards just in general for Orcust to run outside of this card. A normal summon that just sends a dark monster isn't good enough anymore. Next up, Motorbike. Honestly, this card should never have been semi-limited. I believe they banned or nerfed Super Heavy in other ways, and with Max C, this really doesn't matter all that much. Now, obviously, Max C is not going to get banned because it's the OCG and they love that card, but realistically, yeah, this card could absolutely come to 3, no problem. Shouldn't have been limited in the first place. Trickstar Light Stage, absolutely, sure, this can come to 3. It was at 2, didn't do anything, it can come to 3, no problem. Next up, we have Meow Meow Mew. The difference is, Prank Kids in the TCG actually could do quite a bit in terms of the metagame, mostly due to the fact that one Prank Kid can kind of just combo off into oblivion, as it has done in the past. Whereas in the OCG, because of Max C, that's a lot less likely to cause issues. Similar to Dragon Link currently in the OCG, where Dragon Link kind of died off when Max C was around and they didn't have overpowered end boards. So there's that. That is it for the unlimits, so pretty fine there, all things considered. Next up, we have some semi-limits, most notably Airlifter to 2 and Delicious Memory to 2. Now, this is a bit odd when you really think about it, because I'm going to tell you, this is the only hits to both of the top decks currently in the OCG. Which means one of two things. Konami actually cares or likes the meta the way that it is, besides maybe a few things here or there, and it didn't really want to change much there, or they really don't care about these decks and think that they are okay to have in the metagame. Because, honestly, these are nothing changes. They do not matter in the slightest. The only thing that kind of matters is Pearly having not a guaranteed search of Delicious Memory off of the My Friend Pearly. Rescue Ace Airlifter at 2 kind of matters. It's the best starter for the deck, but it's also not the only starter. The Sinful Spoils kind of does the full line as well, and a myriad of other things also are very nice with consistency. So it's not like having Airlifter at 2 is really going to change anything. I mean, they have Emergency, which is basically an emergency teleport for Hydrant, which is actually the main combo piece. So, yeah. Now you have one less copy of Emergency. That's kind of it. It's not really that big of a deal. So these are really not even slaps on the wrist. These are just cosmetic, for lack of a better term. Next up, Rivalry of Warlords goes to 2 for no reason. Again, this doesn't really change anything. It's just cosmetic. But, okay, sure. The only floodgate that's on here. Anyway, Girsu is now available at 2 as well, meaning that Orchist is slightly better. That's it. I don't know why this is the case, but this could go to 3, no problem. I mean, we literally see full power Orchist in Master Duel not doing anything. Dark Worm is also going from 1 to 2. Pendulum was very strong. This is just a Pendulum card. It can absolutely go to 3. Honestly, I've said this for years now, but if you were to ban Electromite, you could actually release a lot of cards currently on the Forbidden and Limited list, at least to 1, if not fully at 3, that are basically just on there because of the fact that they are pendulums that are decent, and Electromite exists. If you ban Electromite, you can start printing better pendulum cards, and you can actually have the cards that are currently banned come off of the list. That's it. Dragonic Diagram goes from 1 to 2, which I think is fine. All things considered, this deck really isn't doing anything, or this card. Dragonic Diagram is nice, sure, but it's not really game determinative, and it's not insane by any capacity. It is good, that's it. It's just a good card, and yeah, you can have it back to 2. Again, the deck's not really going anywhere without Masterpiece. And Map is actually going to 2. Now, this is quite surprising given the fact that Konami despises Flunder, especially when Maxi exists, because they say, no, you are not allowed to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Without having to deal with Maxi, and Flunder happens to do that. So this is honestly quite surprising, but given the fact that Flunder really has fallen out of favor, mostly due to the fact that it's been inconsistent for ages now because of the way that it plays around Maxi, and the fact that it's always been inconsistent. Yeah, I don't know why they hate this deck so much, but hey, maybe this gives hope for Master Duel, but probably not. I don't know. Map should not be at 1. Flunder shouldn't be limited in any capacity. Hooray, it plays around Maxi. Who cares? Maybe there are a few things here or there that need limitations, but I really don't think so. Next up, we have some limits. So these were all semi-limited, and now we are going to the limits. Starting here with Kashtira Tier. This is a card we don't have in Master Duel, but it is basically just another way to mill additional cards in tier limits. It is a tier limit name with the ability to special summon itself, as well as with the ability to mill additional cards, making it pretty good for the archetype, and was basically their only card that wasn't limited, so of course it's going to be limited. Every other tier name is limited. So yeah, I'm expecting this. Tier was meta for way too long. It was the best deck, like, right before the Sinful Spoils came out. It was best deck, and yeah, it had been best deck since release, basically. So, there you go. And next up, we have Block Dragon. Block Dragon should be banned. Don't know why they refuse to do this in the OCG. But again, the OCG ban list is bad, and they don't know how to function. But it is the Wild West over there, so that at least in the TCG, we get reasonable, understandable ban lists and some fun metas. So, hey, do whatever you need to in the OCG as long as the TCG is staying cool. Moving on, we have some Forbiddens, that being, that's right, both of the Millers. Both of the Ishizu Millers are gone. Hip hip hooray, rejoice, the game is fixed. Honestly, these are phenomenal hits, and they should have happened ages ago. Tier limits realistically shouldn't have had much in terms of limitations if you just hit the freaking Agito and Kelbeck. Genuinely, that was a lot of the problem. Yes, Tier still needed hits outside of that, but these were by far the biggest issues. And they weren't even exclusive to Tier. They were used in a wide variety of other decks. We saw that in Master Duel. These were released first, still caused issues, and still were part of the best deck. And then the Tiers came out, and it made it even worse. So, glad to see these go. Rongo Nimiad was somehow still not banned in the OCG because it, as I mentioned, is a bad ban list. It's just a bad format. Okay? Moving on, we have Chaos Ruler as well. This is banned in the TCG, rightfully so. This is now banned in the OCG, rightfully so, because it's just too good. Being able to mill 5 cards, doesn't matter even if you get to search a card, being able to mill 5 cards on summon of a generic level 8 that also brings itself back is kind of crazy. On top of that, I do expect this to go to 0 in Master Duel sometime soon. This is a ban-worthy card in the TCG, in the OCG. I wouldn't be surprised if it also goes to 0 in Master Duel. I doubt that it would go to 0 on like the next list, but I do expect it at some point relatively soon, within the next couple of ban lists. And since the ban list season is much faster, or the ban list turnaround time is much faster in Master Duel, it would make sense to see this more soon. But that's it. That's the full changes. Honestly, there aren't many implications for Master Duel, besides, of course, the Pearly Delicious Memory being limited, but I'm already expecting that, seeing as how it's already at 1 in the TCG, and it was printed at Rare. Of course, this is going to be the card that's limited in Master Duel. Other than that, everything else is stuff that really has either already been taken care of, or is stuff that's not likely to change now. Right? Things like Tearlament Kashtira, not a card that we have. Air Lifter, not a card that we have. Has already been dealt with. Has, is just got hit. Probably not going to receive another hit. And the like, right? I don't expect Meow Meow Mew to come off of the list anytime soon, even though it is now at 3 in the OCG. And the main reason for this is because it is still a problem if it does go to 3. Mostly because prank kids still have the ability to play through quite a lot and still have those big annoying end boards. However, I do think that there is a chance this comes to 3. We'll see. But most notable things are Kelbeck being banned, which is likely to happen in Master Duel, at least at some point. Chaos Ruler being banned, and of course, the Delicious Memory. At least for Master Duel, those are the things to look out for. The rest of the cards, we either don't have or have already taken care of. So, there you go. As for this list, what are my thoughts on it? It's not great. The OCG is just a mess, and there is not enough happening with these ban lists to really try and fix the game. For example, what is this the new semi-limited list actually accomplishing? Well, it put a few cards that could absolutely go to 3 back to 2, which is a step in the right direction, and it did nothing else. Huh. Well, there you go. Same with the limited list. I mean, Block Dragon is terrible. This should just be banned. We saw what it did at 1 in Master Duel, and it still basically just didn't matter. Whether it was at 1 or at 2 or at 3, it didn't matter. As long as Block Dragon existed, it was an issue. And then this card, this is a good hit. So, not great. And then all in all, the ban list was, or the banned cards, I should say, were actually good. So there's that. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, I like us very much, so appreciate it. And if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.